Welcome back, fellow shop rats. Today we're back on the 26 Oakland, and Dad and I have a lot of details to sweep up after the cooling system repairs that we've done in the last couple of episodes. And we've got some more maintenance that we want to do to the car. And we also need to come up with a game plan for the next phase of what needs to happen with the car. Stick around as we work on this family heirloom project because it was great. My great-grandfather bought this car brand new in 1926, and it was parked for over 75 years. But it's back on the road and licensed, and we're out enjoying the car. But there's still lots to do, so don't go away.
This is My Cars Shop.
For those that are new to the channel, my channel is just about spending the day here in the shop and working on whatever we're working on. Today it's the Oakland. Soon it's going to be the 86 Dodge pickup paint job that we're trying to paint for under $500. But we have a 70 Challenger and a 70 Duster and a 47 Ford and a 69 Charger. We got all kind of stuff. So you never know what's going to be day to day, but it's about hanging out and having fun.
Somebody please turn the compressor on. I forgot again. I don't know what my problem is. I don't know why I can't remember to do that.
The oil's draining right now, and we're putting a heavier, what is it, a Lubriplate straight 40 non-detergent oil in it. I forgot this week to get an oil filter, so we have one, but I wanted to get like a Wix. So we'll stop at O'Reilly's or one of those places and see if they can. I think that whatever that Baldwin filter number is, that P40 is a Fram number, so hopefully we can cross it. There's other numbers on the box, isn't there?
Oh, was this the duplicate to the other one we put on?
Yes, yeah. When you bought the one from the Jeep place, you bought two, because that's where that,
okay.
remember from that Jeep Willys, Jeep Kaiser place?
All right.
So hopefully we can, I'd like to put a Wix on it that would do a better job. What does the box say here for numbers? Does it say any other compatible with? Or
P40.
Yeah, right on that other side, there's right, the side facing that way. There's stuff written here.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
No, that's just made in the U.S. and
Okay.
French and Spanish and warning, that's all.
Okay, all right. So hopefully we can cross that. If not, we'll use it and we'll order some more, but I'd like to get a better quality filter. We also decided that we're going to get a new drain plug for the thing because it's been taken in and out of there for 75, 80, 90 years with pliers and all kinds of tools that it shouldn't have. So it's just a pipe plug, so we can go to the hardware store and hopefully find something similar.
Looks like it used to have corners on it.
I think it was a square, probably a ½ inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's
no, it's a hex.
It's something. Probably with an 8-point socket we could have got it out, but I didn't dig. I just grabbed it with vice grips like everybody else has done wrong for all these years.
Yeah, this side is completely flat there.
Yeah. We looked at the old oil pan and it's no better. So the other thing I thought we could do is get those headlight wires rerouted properly. We never did that.
Oh, yeah.
And we should probably get the nuts to put on the radiator grill shell to hold the shell to the radiator. Those were never there in ever since we had it. So those little
oh, yeah. There's like flanges that come up from the radiator to the shell. And
yeah, we'll have to figure out what size they are. I'm guessing they're like a number 8 machine screw, but I'm not sure, so we can check that.
Well, if you can find one that fits again.
Right. Yeah, I should have something, or we can dig for 2 or 3 hours. We'll find something. So anyway, that's my game plan so far, and of course it'll change and stuff. But and I'd like to drive it some with the new oil in it and see how that affects the performance of the engine itself as far as the oil pressure. So
yeah, thicker oil, it might should up the pressure some.
Maybe not. You know, it's from a straight 30 weight to a straight 40 weight. But as I've looked at that STP oil that we've been using, because it's the only thing we can find locally, it just feels super thin to me for a 30 weight oil. So I'm hoping that this Lubriplate, which everybody says is a really good quality oil, will have a higher viscosity. I don't want to put additives to thicken it up. If this doesn't work, we'll consider, because we only drive it in the nice weather anyway, we could consider going to a straight 50, but that's starting to get a little on the thick side, so that bothers me.
Oh, you can get a straight 50 non-detergent?
Yep, you can. So don't really want to do that. I think if the 40 doesn't change things a little bit, we'll probably leave it at that.
Yeah, okay. The oil that we drain, you said, feels like it's
nice and clean.
Clean?
Yep,
okay.
Nice and clean. Good viscosity and stuff, but the engine's warm, but the oil's not, because the cooling system is above where the oil is.
Okay.
So it's the only heat that gets is transferred from the cylinders down through the cast iron of the block. and then just from the lubrication itself.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, the engine is hot. It's 160, 170 degrees. I mean, this is really warm, but the oil is, I had my hands in it and I wasn't going, ow, like I would on a typical V8 engine at that temperature. So that's where we're at.
Okay. 2 washers on that.
Wonder why there's two.
2.
Should be one on each side. Maybe that's part of the reason it was leaking.
Like one underneath
I
here.
think so, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong.
This should come off top, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Just need a big can opener.
Oh, I see. It's spring loaded. That's why.
Okay.
Some resistance there.
Okay, yeah, and I guess there wouldn't be a brass washer on the other side of that. Maybe we double washered it because it was leaking. Do we want to pull that pan underneath this side so when you come out we...
Yeah, probably.
Okay, all right. I'll hold this if you want. And... might as well let it drip in the bag. I'm just going to suck it out of there anyway.
It's just like picking up your dog poop.
Okay, there you go. Just pulling all the extra oil out of the canister so that when we put it back together again, it's fresh. You used to yell at me when I was a kid for doing that. Stop slurping. Put some in the canister. About where would you say that level was? Like that?
Might have been a little higher than that.
Okay. But this filter's
Better
dry.
not put too much in there,
Right.
so it doesn't push it out.
Right, this filter's dry, so it's, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I see. All right. Oh, okay.
Okay, and so you can put your lid back on. The oil filter is on the downstream anyway, so in other words, the oil pump feeds everything and then it goes through the filter to push it back into the crankcase. So it's not like you have to worry about it having oil in the filter to not have, you know, oil on the bearings when you start it up.
This has got the 2 washers.
Yeah, I forget. There was a reason we did that. I don't remember what it was. So we could go back on the videos maybe.
What if it was to extend that bolt a little bit?
Maybe.
To the bottom out?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. That was... See, when did we change oil in this? Was it last fall? Yeah, I think it was last fall we did an oil change on it. So it's important to change your oil every 27 miles.
That's snug.
Yep, we'll start there.
Tighten it anymore until we know if we have to.
Right. Okay. Did we use a funnel? Do you remember? Or did we just let that be its... I think we just let that be its funnel, didn't we?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you want to go ahead and start dumping it in? Well,
Okay. Huh.
I poked that one.
Oh, okay.
I could have swore a luber plate was made in Australia, but...
Oh, we have our drain plug in on the other side, right?
Yeah.
To put the new in it?
We do.
Okay.
Remember I put the Teflon on it?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good. Do you let them drain for a few seconds?
Yeah, we've got lots of time, so let them drain a little bit. Normally I don't. I squeeze them out and throw them, but this is a little different.
Okay.
Oakland carriage. became Oakland Motors in 1919 maybe. But they used to build carriages, and then became, they built motor cars until, and then GM acquired them in 20, maybe GM acquired them in 1919. I should know. I put the whole history on Facebook a while ago.
Okay. I was
They-
thinking 32, but
They went out of business in 32. 30, 31 was the last year. for them.
Pontiac and Oakland came together, and then Oakland went out of business, and Pontiac continued, right?
Yeah, it was 29, I think, when Pontiac came. Don't quote me on any of these numbers anymore because it's not fresh in my mind. But
Yeah.
they started the Pontiac Motors as a cheaper line, as a sister company to Oakland. But because GM already had Buick and Cadillac, they didn't feel they needed another luxury car line, so they dropped the Oakland and kept the Pontiac. A lot of parts are interchangeable between the Pontiac and the Oakland. But it was a carriage company that I think Oakland Motors was only in existence 2 years before GM acquired it. And I just can't remember what year that was. It wasn't 26. It was previous to this because this was GM. But they only kept it till 31. Yeah, it's just not fresh in my mind today. So
Yeah, I was thinking 32 was a significant
yeah,
year.
it was gone by 32. I'm pretty sure 31 was the last model year for Oakland. I don't think there's a 32 Oakland, but you guys can Google all this. It's out there. But it was a carriage company that the two brothers, I think it was two brothers, that started this company in Oakland County, Michigan. And they converted it to motor cars sometime in the teens, I think it was. It was interesting. One of the guys commented, I don't remember who it was right now, about how Grandpa made quite an upgrade from his horse and buggy to this. And I never thought about that. What did he have? Did he even have anything, or did they just take the streetcar because the streetcar ran by their house? What did they have before the Oakland?
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that Grandma told the story about the horse stepping on her foot.
That was your mom. Your grandma.
My grandma.
Okay. So Grandpa Tom's wife.
Right.
Okay.
Ethel.
Ethel, yep. Okay.
Yeah. And I have no idea what the context of that was. If
Right.
she was a young girl, that was before marriage. Or...
Was that her nickname for Grandpa?
How many quarts do you want to put in this?
I would put in at least 5.
5. Okay, that's 4.
Okay. I think it takes 6. But it was a good point. I don't remember seeing pictures of horses around the property. I don't remember anybody talking about, well, that was the stable. There was the garage.
Yeah.
Maybe the garage was where they kept their carriages. I don't know.
Well, I don't know exactly the year, but when they were first married, they built a house in Centennial Heights.
That's right. That's right.
And I think when Grandpa's mother got to the point where she was single and probably needed some care, they moved from Centennial Heights down to Centennial.
That's right. I had forgotten that because they moved to Flint and she hated it down there and wanted to go back to her brand new house in Centennial Heights.
Yes. Yeah.
Why am I living here when I have a brand new house up north?
Yeah, and my dad went to school in Centennial Heights in grade school.
So for clarification, there's episodes on more about the history of this car if you scroll through the playlists, but this is all small mining communities around Calumet, Michigan, just north of Houghton. So if you're wanting to know geographically, it's Michigan is 2 hands. I'm probably not doing that right, but it's way up in this part of, I can't do it, way up in this part of Michigan anyway, in the Upper Peninsula. So that's where this car was purchased brand new.
Yeah, I do know that when they lived in Centennial Heights, Grandpa used to walk to work at the South Kearsarge mine. He walked just down from the house to the railroad tracks and would walk the railroad.
Okay.
And when they moved to Centennial, he was closer.
Okay.
Whether he still walked or not, I don't know. But the streetcar ran right by there too, so he might have ridden the streetcar.
That would have been not right by the house, but down on the corner where the highway and okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it was then, but Amygdaloid Street now.
Yes.
Okay. So it was all copper mining that we're talking about.
The point is, there were never any horse stories that I heard.
Right. That was on the other side of the family, mom's side of the family.
Yeah.
So apparently the Rule family just didn't do a lot of horsing around.
No. Pretty straight-laced Methodists.
And Cornish.
Cornish.
As we were just repriming the oil system, in other words, letting the engine run and freaking out because the oil pressure gauge wasn't coming up, I was thinking about the fact that we probably have 1,000 more viewers on the channel now than when we did some of that stuff. Like if you go to the playlists, we have pictures of the dealership. The building is still standing where this car was purchased. Harder Motor Sales? McClure's. Okay, it was McClure's. That's Harder's now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that was the Oakland dealer in Calumet, Michigan. So you can find all of this stuff. It's in throughout the playlists, and we did some touring around and stuff. We're hoping this year, we'll see, to get this car back up there and take this car to that building and get pictures of it in front of the dealership. But we have a lot to do yet before it's ready to make a trip like that. So.
Yeah, the business there. Harder's is auto parts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they might even like a picture of that.
Nancy had talked to them.
Oh,
and so, yeah. As a matter of fact, she went in there, if I remember right, she can correct me. She had gone in there to see if any of the records were there. And when the old man passed away, they cleaned all the old Pontiac and Oakland paperwork was there. But when he passed away, they got rid of it all. And I think from what she said, they may have even had some parts and stuff still kicking around in the building. But when he died, they got rid of everything. So it would have been so cool to find the original paperwork.
Oh, yeah.
Because apparently it was all there. So,
yeah, for anybody who's in a position to make a business changeover or something like that, there are historical societies that would love to have the old records rather than trash them.
I think the Pontiac Oakland Museum in Pontiac, Illinois. Sorry, it's in Pontiac, which has nothing to do with Pontiac Motors, but that happens to be where the museum is in Pontiac, Illinois. Our friend Chris, that has a 26 Oakland sedan, actually has taken his car there to that, if I remember right. They would love to have had those records, Sure. But they're gone. So anyway.
Yep. Is sticky a good thing?
I hadn't actually felt this oil, and Dad was just asking the question. This oil is sticky, and I like that. That means it's got a lot more lubricity to it, and it will stick to the bearings and stuff. So he was starting by, as I turned the camera on, he was asking why is sticky good? Because it will stick to the spinning parts better and really help keep things lubricated. So car's creaking.
Okay. And does it then pick up the dirt? When you change the oil, the dirt goes with it.
It should.
Is that part of the...
It's more about lubricity than it is dirt, because if we were worried about the dirt, we'd be using a detergent oil, which we don't want to use. And some guys say, use detergent oil in these because you got an oil filter. I would, if it wasn't an engine that's been, basically untouched for 97 years.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, the point is, if you have a filter, you should be able to use detergent oil. But we've been in this motor, and I don't want to stir that stuff up. We cleaned it as best we could, but we didn't rebuild it. So just checking the Earl level.
Well, it hardly moved it, and I had it added a half quart.
Go ahead.
Do we need to crank it again?
Yeah, go ahead and add it. If it's overfill, it's not going to hurt it. It uses oil anyway, so.
Yeah. Okay.
I was pretty sure we were using 6 quarts in it, but I couldn't remember, so that's why I had you get 8. But I like the stickiness of this oil. It definitely, the STP oil felt super watery, and this doesn't. This has some stickiness to it. Perfect. Hear the car creaking?
Yeah.
I think it's just like creeping forward just a little bit. I hope that's what it is. Oh, it's the rear suspension. The car must be just tipping just a little teeny bit.
Thought maybe it was saying, I like this new
Yeah,
one.
its tummy's grumbling. It wants more.
Yeah.
Oh, so the next thing, well, we can just leave that drain if you want. I would say let's get these lights run the oh, we forgot to get those nuts for the grill.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get that next time.
Okay.
I may have some. I can go dig. But we want to get these routed properly through here and then into the lights where they belong. There's a little screw. All we got to do is take the screw out
Oh, okay.
and take the wire back out. Of course, we got it all taped up and pretty and so forth. But run it through there, put it back together again, and then put it into the light.
Okay. So we're done taking the radiator in and out, right?
Probably not, but
Okay.
who knows? I mean, we're probably going to change that water pump at some point because we have the new one from Wayne.
Yeah.
But this one's fine for now. And,
Okay.
oh, I was going to say too, and I'll bring it out and show you guys. Remember, we have some end play in this one. The one from him is 0 end play. It's tight.
Okay.
So.
Actually, probably don't have to take that radiator all the way out. You tip it forward,
Yes.
can get at the fan.
Right. I think you could actually get the fan at the fan without even tipping it because the bolts are real short.
Okay.
It'd be kind of a pain, but yeah, one way or another. So
Yeah.
What we're doing right now is going through and taking out these little screws that hold the stainless or this metal radiator shell to the radiator. They were missing. They were never there for as long as we've worked on it. So I took one and I ran a die over it and then ran the nut on it and put a lock washer on it. It tightens up nicely now. So we've got to pull each of these little 1/4-20 screws out and run a die over them and clean up the threads. And it's probably been 50, 70, 80 years since it had nuts on it. So we'll get them cleaned up, put it back together. So these are the ones we're talking about. They bolt that radiator shell to the radiator.
Yeah, this other one we put in was up here. There's one more down there.
And those screws go behind the seal, so they're a bit tricky. Of course, from the factory, they would have been put in before the seal, I'm sure. But... Oops.
Catch in there, then you should screw it in there.
Because I got the camera going.
Yeah.
You want an alignment tool? I think you got it. Yep, you got it. That one's fun because it's so tight to the fender, you can't use a big screwdriver.
Yeah, this screwdriver doesn't help either.
Oh, is it broke? I'll grind that off while you... I probably have a stubby screwdriver that's bigger, but by the time I found it, you could have it done. Let's see.
Just to get it started there.
Yeah, here you go. There you go. So I just put the screw head in the vise and I'm running a die over it. Clean those threads up and we'll run the nut over it. It'll be good to go. So lather, rinse, and repeat. Not easy to do holding a camera. Better do this the right way. So we just put, I didn't count it up yet, but I would guess 12 miles on it. Our temperature is the highest it's been, which is good. 180-ish. We're idling. Our oil pressure is still at 25 with this new oil. So I was right that cheap oil and that 30 weight STP was probably not helping anything. I'm comfortable with this. As hot as this engine is, it's I don't know the temperature out today. I would guess it's 80. There's a thermometer in here that says 70, but I'm not believing it. I'm really happy with this. As many miles as we put on it, that oil pressure would have been down to like 10 way sooner than what we just drove it. So
Yeah.
that's the most, what's the word? Continuous miles that we've put on it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, we did 11 miles nonstop, other than stop signs. We half mile to the mile, 2 miles down, another mile back, 2 miles down, mile that way, mile that way, mile that way, mile that way, and then a half mile back. So
Yeah.
um,
And there's, well, as you said, several 2 mile stretches in there where
yes,
it's just continuous or sustained running.
yes, I'm thrilled. I couldn't be happier with the way the oil pressure is looking. The temperature is warmer. It's hot, but it's holding 180. So that's why we put that gauge in. What was your feeling riding in it?
Feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at about 35 or a little less now and then, and it feels nice.
Yeah. You get off this road out here.
Yeah.
This road's really rough, and that road down there is just smooth. And,
yeah.
Well, even from the corner that way, it wasn't as bad as this is.
Yeah. I mean, it's an old car, but you feel like you're riding in it on the better pavement. It feels more like a jalopy here.
Yeah.
on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I know Grandpa used to say that, my grandpa, your dad, used to say that this car rode good at 45 miles an hour. I question the accuracy of that speedometer. But, granted, but I mean, there was nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
You go ride in one of these cars at 45 and then get in this at 45, and, it's terrifying.
Well, how would the suspension have behaved back in 1930s as compared to now? Would that make much difference?
Probably would have been stiffer, if anything, I would think.
Okay.
The springs lose spring over time.
Yeah.
And my question is, what roads were they driving 45 miles an hour on back then? I can't imagine road quality was very good up till 1946.
Yeah.
So,
but then they're comparing it to other vehicles of that era as well.
Right. True. Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about Model T before. How that rode.
Yeah. My buddy Jim had I think it was a 24 Model T truck. As far as noisiness and engine, it's worse than this. As far as ride, it's worse than this. So this really was a luxury car for the era, 24, 25, 26.
Yeah.
I don't recall riding, I've worked on them, but I don't recall riding in 28, 29, 30 Model A's. I may have ridden I did. Johnny had a 30 sedan, and he had a 31 coupe. And then I had a 31 sedan.
Yeah, that's Johnny Neighbor Benovitz?
Yeah, okay. The guy I bought my 47 from.
Okay.
Yep. You went to school? Mom went to school with him.
Yeah, he was in school when I was as well.
Yeah. Johnny passed away a few years ago. Unfortunately, he never got to see the 47 done, but that's the guy I bought that car from. But anyway, he would have loved this because he never even got to lay eyes on this car when he was alive.
Oh, yeah.
We always talked about it, but
yeah.
He and I became pretty close the last few years of his life. But anyway, I rode in his cars, Model A's and Chevys of this era. I don't know if I've ever ridden any Dodges of this era, but anyway, considering 26, it's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
I don't call it a car; I call it a machine.
Yeah. Well, as far as memories go, this is different than I remember it. Well, actually riding in it. I did when I was very young, before my memory goes back that far. But so I'm seeing it differently now too. It was always in the garage with stuff around it.
Right.
And there were no windows in that. Well, one window in that garage on the west side that was small.
Yeah.
And so this is different than I experienced it in my, ever before.
So when you were a kid and would get in it and stand on the seat and steer it, it rode a lot better back then?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.